Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Joel pushed the front door open with his shoulder, balancing his on-call backpack in one hand and his keys in the other. It was almost 2 in the morning on a Friday he'd rather forget. 3 emergency surgeries, a German Shepherd hit by a car that nearly didn't make it, and a frantic owner who insisted on staying in the operating room until Joel had to choose between holding her up so she wouldn't faint or continuing the procedure to save the dog. He chose the dog. He always chose the animals. They, at least, never lied about how they felt. The house should have been quiet. Cassandra usually went to bed early on Fridays, claiming she needed to wake up fresh for her Saturday shift at the boutique. But what Joel found when he opened the door was a burst of lights, loud voices, pulsing electronic music from the living room speakers, and the unmistakable scent of Cassandra's French perfume, that $1,000-a-bottle one she bought with her employee discount and wore like social armor. At least 20 people were scattered around the living room. Champagne bottles sat on the coffee table. Gold balloons floated near the ceiling. A side table overflowed with gourmet snacks Joel knew Cassandra hadn't prepared. She hated cooking. The chatter stopped as if someone had hit pause on a movie. Faces turned toward him. Some he vaguely recognized, Cassandra's co-workers, maybe. Others were complete strangers in his own home. Cassandra appeared from the kitchen holding a glass of white wine, wearing a tight black jumpsuit Joel had never seen before. Her eyes widened for a split second, pure panic, before settling into a broad, artificial smile. "Joel. Honey, you're home early." She crossed the room quickly and kissed him on the cheek with mechanical familiarity. "It's Clara's bachelorette party. Remember I mentioned it?" Joel didn't remember. And he was certain Cassandra didn't have a cousin named Clara. She had 2 male cousins on her mother's side and a distant cousin in Florida nobody had seen in years. He opened his mouth to question her, but something in her eyes, a silent warning, almost a threat, made him hesitate. "Hey, Joel." A blonde woman he'd never seen before appeared with a champagne flute extended. "Want some?" "We're celebrating." He mumbled something polite and declined. His eyes swept the room again, more slowly this time. That's when he saw it. Draped carelessly over the leather armchair by the window was a jacket he knew all too well. A brown leather jacket with a patch on the left elbow. Aaron had worn that jacket to last Thanksgiving's barbecue. Aaron, his cousin, his best man, his childhood friend who knew all his secrets, including the combination to the safe where Joel kept important documents. Joel's stomach dropped. It didn't twist or churn. It simply fell, as if the floor had vanished beneath his feet. He looked at Cassandra, now chatting animatedly with 2 women near the couch, laughing too loudly, gesturing too dramatically. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Joel already knew. "I'm going to take a shower," he announced to no one in particular. Nobody seemed to hear. He walked upstairs with heavy legs, feeling the weight of every step. In the second-floor hallway, he passed the guest bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and he heard muffled laughter from inside. He didn't look. He didn't want to confirm what he already suspected. He entered his office, closed the door, and locked it. The room was exactly as he'd left it Thursday morning. A dark wooden desk, bookshelves filled with veterinary texts and crime novels he never finished reading, and the shared desktop computer. They technically shared it, though in practice Cassandra only used her own laptop. But Joel, always meticulous, always cautious, had set up automatic backups of her phone to the desktop months ago when she complained her iPhone's storage was full. "Let me handle it," he'd said. And he had. He turned on the computer. His hands trembled slightly as he navigated to the backup folder. Photo files. Messages. Apps. He hesitated. Part of him wanted to close everything, go back to bed, pretend everything was fine. But Aaron's jacket in the living room was a ticking time bomb that had already exploded. Joel just hadn't admitted the damage yet. He clicked into the messages folder. The backup app displayed conversations organized by contact. He scrolled until he found Aaron Redhart. The red heart next to the name felt like a cruel joke. Joel clicked. The first message he saw was dated 11 months ago. Aaron, I can't believe we've gotten away with it this long without him suspecting anything. Do you think he really notices nothing? Cassandra, he's predictable. Joel's the kind of guy who believes words more than actions. If I say I love him, he believes it. Simple as that. Aaron, lucky us. How long do you think we can keep this up? Cassandra, as long as I want. He'll never suspect a thing. He's so busy saving puppies he barely notices I exist. Joel felt something strange happen inside his chest. It wasn't pain. It was more like disconnection, as if his body were in one place and his awareness floating somewhere else. He kept scrolling. There were hundreds of messages. Photos. Videos. Detailed plans for meetups while Joel was on overnight shifts. Conversations about hotels. Laughter about poor Joel working so much he was never home. Then he found the message thread about the party. Dated 3 days ago. Cassandra, I convinced Joel to take the Friday overnight shift. The house will be empty all night. Let's throw our birthday party like we planned. Aaron, already been a year? Time flies when you're hiding something like this. Cassandra, ha ha ha. Stop. But seriously, I want to make it special. I'll invite everyone who knows. It'll be our official celebration. Like, us going public, you know? Aaron, what if he comes home early? Cassandra, impossible. His shift goes until 6 a.m. And even if he does, I'll say it's someone's bachelorette party. He's so predictable he won't even question it. Aaron, you're bold. I like that. Cassandra, he's so predictable he's become the backdrop of our story. We use his house, eat the food he pays for, and he doesn't even realize he's a supporting character in his own life. Aaron, the poor guy still believes love is loyalty, almost feels sorry for him. Joel read that message 3 times. 4. 5. The words began to lose meaning, turning into abstract symbols on the screen. He didn't cry. He didn't yell. He didn't slam his fist on the desk. Instead, he felt something he'd never experienced before, absolute clarity. As if someone had flipped on every light in a dark room and he could finally see every corner, every crack, every bit of rot hidden behind the nice furniture. He grabbed his phone and started taking screenshots of the screen, message threads, photos, videos he couldn't stomach watching. He organized everything into a hidden folder on his own phone. Then he copied all the backup files onto a USB drive he kept in his desk drawer. 2 copies. 3. 4. He wasn't going to leave anything to chance. While the computer transferred the files, Joel looked out the office window. Down below, in the backyard, he saw Aaron and Cassandra talking near the pool. She was laughing, throwing her head back. He had his hand on her waist in a way Joel would never again. Intimate. Possessive. Familiar. Joel shut down the computer, grabbed the USB drives, and walked downstairs. The party was still going. Nobody noticed when he crossed the living room, picked up his car keys, and walked out the front door without saying a word. Cassandra didn't even look back. He drove to the only place that made sense at that hour, the veterinary clinic. He unlocked the office with his master key, sat down in the empty waiting room, and stayed there in the dark until sunrise. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He simply existed in that clean, sterile space where things were what they appeared to be. An injured dog was just an injured dog. A broken bone was just a broken bone. There were no layers. No lies. At 7 in the morning, he called Martin, his longtime attorney, the same one who'd handled the house purchase 5 years earlier, back when Joel was still single and Cassandra was just a charming girlfriend promising the world. Martin answered, groggy. Joel? Everything okay? It's way too early. I need a divorce. Today, if possible. Silence on the other end. What happened? Adultery. I have proof. A lot of it. I need you in your office in 2 hours. Martin sighed. I'll be there. Bring everything you've got. Joel hung up. Then he dialed another number, a locksmith friend who owed him favors. I need all the locks at my house changed. Today. What do you charge for emergency service? The rest of Saturday was purely operational. Mechanical. Joel treated his own life like he was performing surgery, numbing the emotions, focusing on the procedure, executing each step with surgical precision. Martin reviewed all the evidence, texts, photos, audio files Joel had pulled from the backup. The lawyer whistled softly. This is strong, Joel. With documented adultery and marital misconduct, we can build a solid strategy for the divorce. And since the house is entirely in your name and was purchased before the marriage, that carries significant weight. I want her out as soon as possible. We'll go through proper legal channels. I can serve her formal notice Monday morning. As for shared assets, freeze the joint account. Block all the credit cards. Today. She can keep whatever she brought into the marriage. The rest is mine. Martin looked at Joel with an expression mixing admiration and concern. Are you sure? Because once we start this, I'm sure. On Monday morning at 9, Cassandra was handed the official notice at the boutique where she worked, delivered by a court officer. Joel wasn't there to see her reaction, but Martin called with details. She went pale. Tried calling you about 15 times. Did you block her number? I blocked everything. Her, Aaron, and anyone who was at that party. Smart. But Joel wasn't done. Real revenge, he knew, wouldn't be shouted. It would be whispered. While Cassandra frantically tried calling him, texting him, banging on the door of a house now fitted with new locks, Joel was executing phase 2 of his plan, but the right way, without spectacle, without a stage, without giving anyone ammunition to turn the tables on him. He didn't post anything online. He didn't create public scenes. He didn't go around telling his version to strangers. Instead, he did something far more surgical. He organized the evidence into a clean dossier with dates, timestamps, screenshots, and a complete timeline. He separated what was essential from what was just gratuitous humiliation. Joel didn't want to expose anyone. He wanted to protect himself. Following legal advice, Martin submitted only what needed to go through proper channels, attachments to filings, formal communications where appropriate, documented records for the case. No mysterious emails, no random mass messages, no messages for an audience. The goal was simple: shield Joel, expedite proceedings, and prevent any reversals. Still, real life has its own side effects. When Cassandra started missing work, showing up late, losing control as her unanswered calls and messages piled up, her workplace noticed. The boutique, built on image, discretion, and professionalism, began watching her behavior closely. On Tuesday, Cassandra was called into a meeting. On Wednesday, she was placed on administrative leave, pending review of conduct and performance. On Thursday, she was fired. Not because of some public scandal, not because of a viral explosion, but because of a cascade of poor decisions she could no longer hide once the lies spiraled out of control. Aaron didn't escape unscathed either, but not because of retaliation. The family noticed. The absences. The flimsy excuses. The way he avoided lunches, gatherings, any direct contact with Joel. And when the truth reached its inevitable destination, inside his own home, the fall came as it always does for those who play with trust, quietly, shamefully, irreversibly. As for the friends who'd been at the party, Joel handled each one differently. Some received short, direct messages, "You knew and still greeted me at the door like everything was fine." Others, he simply blocked without explanation. Joel's absence, someone who'd always been reliable, present, generous, left a void many only realized too late. The following weeks blurred into paperwork, hearings, negotiations. Cassandra tried fighting for shared assets, claiming she deserved half due to emotional contribution to the marriage. Martin calmly dismantled the argument, presenting evidence of adultery, bad faith, and proof she'd used joint funds to support the affair. The judge, a stern woman in her mid-50s, eyed Cassandra coldly as she delivered the verdict: divorce granted, no asset division, and financial compensation awarded to Joel for damages recognized in the case. Cassandra left the courthouse shattered. Joel left and went straight to the clinic. 6 months later, life had settled into a new rhythm. Joel adopted a stray mutt someone left at the clinic's doorstep, a dog of indeterminate breed, 3-legged, one-eyed, that nobody else wanted. He named him Chance. Second Chance. He started volunteering on weekends, teaching basic veterinary first aid at a community clinic. He spent more time with his nieces and nephews, teaching them to fish, taking them to the zoo, being the present uncle he'd always wanted to be but never had time for. The house grew quieter. But it was a different kind of quiet. Not oppressive. Not heavy with unspoken lies. Just peace. Joel could sit on the couch at night, with Chance curled up beside him, and watch a movie without feeling like he was missing something. Because he wasn't. He'd lost Cassandra, yes, but what he'd gained in return, dignity, clarity, freedom, was infinitely more valuable. He ran into Cassandra once, by chance, at a grocery store. She was in the checkout line, alone, buying basic groceries. Her once impeccable hair was pulled into a simple ponytail. No makeup. No designer clothes. She saw him and froze. Opened her mouth as if to say something, but Joel just nodded, polite, distant, and walked on. There was nothing left to say. Aaron, he heard through others, had moved to another state. He'd tried to start over far from family, far from memories, far from shame. Joel felt no pleasure in that. No anger. Just nothing. And he realized that was exactly what he wanted. Indifference. True revenge wasn't destroying Aaron. It was simply no longer caring. Cassandra tried calling one last time, months after the divorce. Joel answered, more out of curiosity than any desire to talk. Joel, her voice was broken, exhausted. I just wanted to say. I'm sorry. For everything. I ruined it all, I know that. And Cassandra, he gently but firmly interrupted. I accept your apology. But it doesn't change anything. You made your choices. I made mine. Now we both live with the consequences. Are you okay? She asked, and for the first time in years, Joel thought she genuinely wanted to know. I am, he said. And it was true. I hope you find your way too. Eventually. He hung up before she could respond. The next night, Joel was in the backyard watching Chance play with an old tennis ball. The stars were visible, rare in the city. He thought about everything he'd lost. His wife. His cousin. The friends who'd taken sides. The illusion of a happy marriage. But he also thought about what he'd gained. The truth. The freedom to stop living under lies. The certainty that he'd never again let someone reduce him to background scenery in his own life. Chance dropped the ball at Joel's feet and looked up with that one bright, expectant eye. Joel smiled, a small, genuine smile, and tossed the ball again, watching the dog run after it, awkward but determined. It wasn't the life he'd planned. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. But it was real. It was honest. And for the first time in years, Joel didn't have to pretend everything was okay. Because it was. He went inside, Chance trotting behind him, and locked the door, the same door Cassandra would never cross again. The same house that now belonged solely to him, free of shadows and secrets. And as he prepared a simple dinner, pasta with tomato sauce, nothing fancy, nothing to impress anyone, Joel realized something important: the best revenge wasn't destroying Cassandra. It was being happy without her. It was waking up every day knowing he'd made the right choice. It was looking in the mirror and seeing a man who hadn't lowered his head, who hadn't settled for crumbs, who hadn't let betrayal define who he was. Cassandra would eventually realize, if she hadn't already, that the real punishment wasn't losing Joel. It was understanding that everything she'd built, her career, her image, her relationships, was a fragile facade held up by lies. And when the truth came out, the facade crumbled. Not because Joel destroyed it, but because she imploded it herself by choosing betrayal over honesty. Joel ate alone that night but didn't feel lonely. Chance slept at his feet, snoring softly. The TV played a wildlife documentary. The house smelled of garlic and basil. Simple. Authentic. Real. And for the first time in months, Joel slept through the night without waking up tight-chested in the middle of the dark, without replaying memories trying to figure out where he'd gone wrong. Because he hadn't gone wrong. He'd loved honestly in a world full of masks. And if that made him naive, as Cassandra and Aaron had laughed, then so be it. He'd rather be naive and truthful than cynical and fake. Dawn arrived quietly. Joel woke to Chance licking his face, asking for breakfast. He laughed, a light, weightless laugh, and got up. Another day. Another chance. Another opportunity to live the life he'd chosen, not the one someone had faked for him. And as he walked through the house that was now truly his, Joel realized the story was never about revenge. It was about reclaiming his life. It was about choosing dignity over drama, truth over illusion, peace over chaos. Cassandra lost far more than a husband. She lost the person who loved her unconditionally, who worked through nights to give her comfort, who believed in her best self even when her worst was right there, hidden behind rehearsed smiles and secret parties. And Joel? Joel lost a lie. And gained the truth. In the end, he came out ahead, not because he destroyed Cassandra, but because he refused to be destroyed by her. And that, he knew, was the only victory that truly mattered. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.